All right, we got a lot to get to. Big game 3 last night, the NBA Finals. Our hot topics presented by Lexus, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Knicks. We talked about Kyle Lowry, guys. Last night, 23 points, 5 of 9 from downtown after only being 6 for 20 in the series before last night. No Klay Thompson for the Warriors. And, Allen, it was all Toronto. The Warriors were lurking, but they were never able to do much more than lurk.
Remember earlier in the week, what did Paul Jones tell us? Look out for Kyle Lowry, knowing that he was going to come out in this game early and set a tone in the first couple of minutes, and that's what it seemed like he did. He came out looking to shoot. The whole team did. I don't want to take anything from the Raptors. You were playing look who you were playing against. I mean, you better win that game. You better come out like that. They did exactly what they were supposed to do, but you have to acknowledge what was missing on the other side when it comes to the Warriors, and no Klay Thompson, no KD still, no Looney, and Steph Curry having to do it all by himself.
47. The message on the board in the Raptors locker room, one thing: let it rip. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what they did in Game 3. You talk about Kyle Lowry, 23 points. Danny Green, finally. We have a Danny Green sighting. He's alive. He can play basketball.
Found
he can
his
make
jumper
threes,
in the
right?
bay.
Definitely. 6 threes for him last night. So it's one of those things with the Raptors, as you mentioned, Allen, they have to win that game, right? If they don't win that game, then it's basically done. You're saying goodbye, Toronto. Thanks for coming to the NBA Finals. Right. We appreciate it. But Golden State is the champions. But when you have plays like this, with Green knocking down shots, and there were so many moments like this, defensively, where he's blocking shots to keep Toronto ahead and keep them in control of things.
They came out as the attackers, and to Allen's point, I think the confidence was there because they knew who Golden State was missing. So it's a lot easier as a player to come into a game and to play well, and this man needed to play well, and he sure did.
18 points, all on threes. Hit 6 threes.
Amazing.
That's what he does. He's a 3-and-D guy. He's been there, done that before. I know he was frustrated by the way he was shooting the basketball. It was driving him crazy because he'd gotten so many of those shots that you saw him make. He was missing those shots earlier in the series and in the previous series. I don't know if there was a health issue with him. I don't know what it is because you don't want to make excuses. But this guy's a pro's pro. He's been in the league a long time. He's won championships with the Spurs. That trade didn't just bring Kawhi Leonard. That trade also brought Danny Green. And there's a guy also with a ring on his finger and experience. So for him to step up is not a surprise, but it certainly was long awaited and a huge reason why the Raptors won this game.
Yeah, Steph put up big numbers, but you have to admit when you're worried about a bunch of other players like Klay, like Durant, it makes him even more effective. You lose control of him, especially when he moves so well off the ball. 47 still didn't get it done. Quite demoralizing. Perhaps we will see one of those guys back at the end of the series to give them some hope.
He was playing like Davidson Steph. That was college day Steph taking control. It was a lot of fun to watch, I will admit. I mean, he was all over the floor. I can't believe they didn't call that carry, by the way.
I can.
That was
First of all,
unbelievable.
there's a lot of things that went on. I mean, the officiating, the basketball for most part in this game was pretty bad. There's a flop. But also the officiating was so inconsistent. There were a couple of goaltends that weren't called. There was one that was called that wasn't a goaltend. Yeah. Like you said, a carry a couple of times, some travels. But, Steph did what he did in this game. But DeMarcus Cousins, again, they're your numbers.
That's a career best for him, by the way.
There's your rest of the team, though.
He needed to have 81 to win this game.
Oh, yeah, if so. But the 6 of 22 from 3, that's the big number there. That's the problem. DeMarcus Cousins was a guy you thought, all right, he had a good game too. Can he have another game like that?
They missed so many makeable shots. Did they not watch that game?
But it's a lot different when it's not Klay and KD taking those shots. It just shows you there's a big difference between elite and really good. Mm-hmm. And there's also a confidence factor, like you mentioned, when you look across and you see that it's not Klay Thompson guarding you. There's a different confidence that some of the players in the Raptors had. This was their opportunity, and they seized it.
And they played right into the game plan for Nick Nurse, right, for Toronto. It's like, okay, Steph, you can get yours. Have 47, have 50, have 60, but we're still going to win the game. That's an individual accomplishment for you. Congratulations. Yeah. You're outstanding. Yeah. But we're going to go up 2-1 in the series. So that's the situation that the Warriors find themselves in, where they try to give Toronto that own dose of their medicine, saying, hey, we'll let Kawhi get his, but everyone else we're going to shut down. You flip it, that's what the Raptors did before the Warriors last night.
But the Warriors' defense wasn't as good as it typically is. It was not impressive. That's their hidden secret sauce. I mean, everybody talks about their offense, but their defense is what leads to their offense. And last night, it wasn't good. They just didn't look cohesive as a unit. We didn't see much from the role players at all. Draymond Green disappeared to me. Draymond Green airballed like 2 shots. It was like he wasn't even really playing well offensively. It was kind of disturbing.
He didn't really make an impact. He didn't have a double-double last night.
And we've talked a lot about Draymond being
last time
the
you didn't
MVP.
hear Draymond Green not having a double-double or a triple-double.
Or a triple, yeah.
I think especially demoralizing if you're a Warriors fan to see. I think that Boogie looked immobile at times.
Yeah.
Like he looked like he was hobbling. We know that he's hurt, but that's a thing that when you watch him play after a while, you think sometimes he just does not quite look fit, and it takes him out of the game. He was especially frustrating. I think that there's a great recipe for a great comeback, as Draymond alluded to, because it does not look good right now, but we will see. Somebody has to step up, be somebody.
How about this question? When it comes to, second-guessing some decisions. Now, keeping Clay out, you're basically saying we'll lose a battle to win the war. Want to keep him healthy.
He's going to play in Game 4.
Right, so you understand why they do that.
He looked miserable.
Starting Sean
This
Livingston.
was Clay.
Yeah, that was.
He was upset.
Starting Sean Livingston, however, who has not been effective at all.
Like this.
Okay. Who has not been. That just doesn't suit you, by the way.
It doesn't. It's not my
Yeah, you normally smile at me.
Just trying to channel my inner Klay Thompson from Game 3.
I don't know if Livingston was the right guy to start there. Mainly
point.
because he has not played well at all.
McKinney should have started.
Is that a nod
I think
to
you might be
you're
right.
a veteran, you've been here?
I think you might be right. I think what that is trying to warm him up. Because, I mean, you have to give him that chance. He's been so big for you before. But, maybe he gets activated now that he's gotten his feet wet. He hasn't really been called on to do so much.
Right.
But now maybe he's warmed up. I could see him having a big game coming up here. But I think you're right. On the surface, it does not look like the right decision.
The matchup
For me, if
would've
I'm
been
Steve
better
Kerr,
with McKinney.
what's the alternative? Do you start Alfonso McKinney?
Yes.
Do you go Quinn
That's
Cook?
who I would start.
But at the same time, you look at McKinney, he's not a floor spacer like Livingston is. Like, the Raptors are not going to run out of it.
either, though. That's-
McKinney's been knocking shots
So do
down
you
the last
start
couple
he's
Quinn
also
Cook? Do you start Quinn Cook in the Game 3 back home with Steph Curry? I really don't like that move. I would prefer Quinn Cook to come off the bench. It's a situation that Steve Kerr is in that he's trying to find something that works. And if they go into it in Game 4 and Clay's not available, and I know he says he wants to play, he's going to play, but if he's not available, what do you do now, right? Do you put McKinney back in? You're not going to have Durant. We haven't heard anything on that.
I just feel like the game started out and he continued to give you those negative minutes. I just feel like Livingston
check him
has
out early.
been
Yeah.
a struggle.
Yeah.
It's really, and he's had one
You've
or
been
two
saying
nice
all along,
plays,
Alan.
but when you watch him, and I tend to, when I watch games, I isolate on players like, what's he doing right now? Just
Right,
isolate.
right.
And there's a guy that used to be such an important part of their bench in their championship years because of how effective he could be in running the team as a point guard, but also in doing the intangibles and a very good defender. That stuff's kind of gone now. Like you can just see that he's not that level anymore, and that didn't help. Look, it wouldn't have made a maybe dramatic difference, but the way they started the game, they were down 10 quick, and they were chasing the whole game.
They never got
kicking
over the
closer
hill
than
at all.
6.
Yeah.
And that was that
Toronto
early
attacked.
10-point deficit. It became too difficult. They had to hold the lead.
I give Toronto a lot of credit because every time the Warriors seemed like they were getting momentum, Green with a big
Exactly.
shot.
They were
Right.
attacking.
That lead was
Exactly.
cut to 7 or 8.
Yeah.
It was the Raptors,
Never
like
got
you said,
closer.
Green, making a big shot. Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. And in the end, the Raptors do something that is so rare, especially if you think about the NBA Finals. A 50-40-90 game. 50,
As a team.
52% from
Wow.
the field, 44 from 3, and 95 from the free throw lines.
Unbelievable.
That
It
kind of a
really was.
slash line, for one player, is spectacular. For a team to do that, that
massive.
shows you, A, they were in rhythm, and B, the defense was
It
non-existent.
was
Yeah, very
non-existent.
true,
That's a
very
big
true.
problem that we
So
saw.
Klay Thompson's going to play in Game 4, and we don't know about KD. KD could still possibly play in Game number 4. Right now, of course, Raptors lead the NBA Finals 2-1. For more great videos from the MSG 150, check out right there. And remember, our show is on Monday through Thursday, 8 to 10:30 p.m. on MSG Network and MSG Go.